back to another video on my channel. Anyway, it's spooky season, guys.
Medicine, you know the cure. Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
It probably won't be involved, but in case you're wondering why I'm really out of breath, I just done the spooky scary skeleton dance like 10 times. If it's involved, then it actually came out good. If it's not, then it was bad. But yeah, we're going to, okay, so in honor of spooky season, we're gonna be, I'm really out of breath, mate. We're gonna be watching spooky stories, like spooky stories, whatever you call it, spooky animated stories. So yeah, so I have created a spooky kind of atmosphere. So I've dimmed the lights and I've got a blanket because I get scared, you know, I can hide. But we're going to be reacting, or not reacting, I'm going to be watching something was in my apartment. I don't know if that's good. I'd probably watch like 2 or 3 because these are relatively short. They're like 3 minutes each story, but they are by Wancy Entertainment. Well, this one's by Wancy Entertainment. Yeah, so I'm probably going to watch 3 to 4 of them. I'll try my hardest to insert a clip. If not, I'll put the link in the description down below to the animation so you can watch it as well. So yeah, so this video, if you can't tell, is me reacting to spooky animations because it's spooky season.
It's a scary paranormal story that happened to me in my sophomore year in college. It still gives me creeps and scares me to this day. It's a true story, trust me. As New Year has just begun, I moved into the apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms.
That dude looks like Corey.
Me and my housemate got our own rooms.
Corey, you're in it.
Everything seemed nice and got along great for the first week. I would often wake up to sounds in the middle of the night coming from the kitchen, since my room was the closest to it. I always assumed it was my roommate having a late night snack. After the second week, he told me that he was actually going to drop the university because he didn't feel so well physically and was kind of homesick. I was sad that he had to go, but I was a little excited thinking that I had the apartment to myself and wouldn't hear his midnight munchies. And that night, I woke up to noise from the kitchen again. I was a bit confused because I was the only one in the apartment. I was alone now. I then went to investigate and found a knife on the floor in the kitchen. I put it back in the drawer and went back to bed thinking it might have fallen.
Continue.
Only one in the apartment. I was alone now. I then went to investigate and found a knife on the floor in the kitchen. I put it back in the drawer and went back to bed thinking it might have
This
fallen
hairline is
from
so
the
messed up.
A few nights passed and I didn't hear a sound, except for this night. I heard some sounds coming from my closet. It was about 3 a.m. and I just felt a coldness around me, and my hair was standing up on my whole body when I woke up to see my closet. Suddenly I saw a dark figure standing next to the closet. It looked like a Dementor from the Harry Potter movies, but it disappeared in a few seconds. I figured I was having a wild imagination. The next day, I felt tired from all my classes, so when nighttime fell, I knocked out in my bed.
I'd be like,
That night
I'm dropping
was the
university
night
as well.
I would never forget.
Dropping it.
I remember waking up to some noise coming from behind me. I woke up and I realized that I couldn't move. All I could move were my eyes. I was laying in bed in fear. My heart started to thump really hard.
Sleep paralysis.
I felt a cold air behind me. I felt this person coming closer, but I couldn't hear any footsteps. That's when I realized the bed was shaking viciously, but it wasn't because of me. I tried to see at the corner of the room, and I saw the dark figure from the other day. This time it had red eyes, like those of the devil. My
Nossa.
heart sank when I saw it. Although I wasn't a strong believer in God until that moment, I closed my eyes and started to pray to God. to
Mate, I'm
help me.
praying for you and I don't
I
even
started
believe
to
in God.
remember my parents and friends.
Mate, they all
That's
have
when I
messed up their
felt the
lives.
figure stop. I just kept thinking of everything that made me happy and praying to God to help me. And finally, I felt the dark figure leave the room, retreating back to its corner. After 5 minutes, I was able to move my body.
Jesus, help you.
I decided to go sleep at my neighbor's apartment for the night as I ran away as fast as I could run.
Oh, God.
I eventually moved out of
Yes.
that apartment by the end of the month.
You s-
And now I'm always wondering if those things are what made my housemate leave.
crazy.
Needless to say, I'm glad I moved out.
Hell no. Okay, just wait. This dude waited a whole blood clot month to leave. The first encounter I had, I would have been running for the hills. I would have left all my stuff and I would have run. I'd be like, oh,
I'm scared of the dark.
hell no, not today. Anyway, next one is sleepover
This
story.
happened when I was 15 years old. My best friend Anthony wanted
It
me
is
to come over for the night since his parents
By
would be gone all
Mama
weekend.
Arts. I usually watch that one.
I rode my bike over and put it in his backyard before letting myself in through his back door. We played basically every video game he had, from FIFA all the way to Call of Duty, with popcorn and other
Call of
junk
Duty,
food spilled out
that's
all over the floor.
Game.
As the night progressed, we moved from video games
Call
to
of
watching
Duty
half a
2
movie and
Transit
getting bored
zombie map.
to doing prank calls at close to 10 o'clock. Anthony made a few calls to different pizza
Anthony,
places.
my husband.
When
Love.
it was my turn, I just dialed a few random numbers in hopes to get someone at their house. On, say, my fourth attempt, I finally reached somebody. A guy with a deep and rough voice picked up, answering with a yeah instead of a hello. Anthony's laughing in the background made me stumble with my words mid-sentence, ultimately cracking up into laughter. I had never done a prank call, so I sucked at it.
Who has never done
The
a
guy on
prank
the
call?
other end was silent. I regained a straight face and tried to continue with the call. It went something like this. Sir, would it be alright if I borrowed one of the wheels from your car? What's your name, kid? My name is Bob. Really? You sure it's not Anthony? It hit me like a brick. I looked up at Anthony, whose face was noticeably full of fear. I hung up the phone, not wanting to be on the line with whoever that was for another second.
I would have cried.
Anthony, who the hell was that? I asked him. I don't know,
I would've
he
cried.
told me.
I
Does your caller ID info display your name or something? No, it shows my dad's name. We hopped on the computer and did some research,
would've
trying to figure out how it was possible to get someone's name through their phone number. It didn't make sense how he could get Anthony's name so quickly. He was way too young at the time to be on any of those personal information sharing websites. We ended up asking a question on Yahoo Answers, since no one had a similar experience. The question turned up no answers. I suggested he call his dad, but he said he wasn't supposed to have anybody over for the weekend, so he didn't want to call. We planned on sleeping in the living room.
So we just resumed watching a movie that we hadn't finished from earlier. Right after the phone call had left my
Mind. Me and Anthony looked at each other when we heard his front storm door opening, and then the doorknob to the front door began to turn.
this.
It only was
why
able to turn about
I don't leave my
halfway
house.
before the lock restricted it. Anthony turned off the TV,
This is
and I
why
went over to the
I
window
stay
to
at
see
home.
who it was. I spread the blinds open. There was a tall guy standing outside. He noticed the blinds moving and turned to look at me.
Oh no.
I practically threw the blinds back into place. Me and Anthony hid in the kitchen, listening for any more
A
noises.
fucking knife.
We
I would
heard
have
the
been ready
sound
for
of the
stab.
key to the backyard opening, as
Like,
it was
I'm
right
gonna
outside
kill
the kitchen window. God damn it, I said. I forgot to shut the back door. Anthony urged me to run and shut it. I made it to the hallway leading to his back door and froze. There was a silhouette standing outside the back door. I don't think he noticed me, but he was surely looking into the house. He opened the door and stepped inside. I tiptoed to the kitchen and motioned for Anthony to follow me upstairs. We made it to his room as quietly as possible, pulling the door shut to avoid making any noise. We crawled under his bed. He had cloth covering the bottom of his bed, so you couldn't see anything under it unless you actually moved the cloth.
Someone's gonna be the cloth.
The doors downstairs all opened, each one getting closer to the stairs. Thumps finally began up the stairs, and he was right outside the door now. The door to the room opened. I could hear Anthony's breathing. It was too loud. Footsteps moved over to the closet, and then the closet opened. I could hear the coat hangers being slid around as the fabric of the jackets and coats rubbed against each other. Footsteps moved over to the bed and stopped. I felt like my heart was about to explode out of my chest. Anthony's breathing was too loud. I had to cover his mouth with my hand.
I would have told him. Nikki, better
Nothing but silence in the room now.
Because I
We
will
laid still
sacrifice
for
you
so
for
long.
me.
I almost
It's your
thought
fault.
he
You're
wasn't
not meant to
even
have
in the room
anyone over.
anymore.
I'm not meant to be here. You can
I
die.
moved my hand away from Anthony's mouth and whispered in his ear, "You think we can make a run for it?" He was
Why
about to
people?
answer when the most disturbing, memory-haunting scream I'd ever heard filled my ears as Anthony was seemingly dragged out from under the bed.
Bye,
I
Anthony.
crawled out and saw him struggling with the man. I desperately looked around for anything to use as a weapon. I settled with the screwdriver sitting on his
I
nightstand.
was wondering what that
I
was.
hurried over to the man and drove the screwdriver into his back. He let go of Anthony as he let out a scream of agony, giving us time to get the hell out of the house. Running onto the road would give away our position too easily. It would take too long to make it to his neighbor's house. We dove for the tree line in the woods and took cover behind a bush, watching the house.
I don't want
The
to
back door
neighbors.
opened as the man stepped outside, looking around the backyard. He then looked out to the woods. I felt his eyes pass me as he scanned through the tree line. It seemed that it was too dark for him to see us. Then, he turned his head back in our direction. I ducked behind the bush. "Joe, he's coming." "What?" "Dude, get up, we gotta run." He was right. The man was approaching us fast. How could he have seen us? We ran through the woods with the leaves crunching under us, giving away our position. When Anthony tripped over something, I crouched down with him, hoping we had run far enough. Not even 20 seconds later, oncoming footsteps from the direction we were running from came fast. They slowed down and were 2 feet away from us as we lay face down in the leaves. Moments later, the footsteps take off in another direction. We waited until we could no longer hear them and took off back in the direction of the house. While running, over the sound of leaves crushing and my heavy breathing, I could swear I heard leaves crushing from behind us. We made it back to his backyard, into his house, and this time remembering to shut the back door. We were now able to call the police. Anthony stayed on the line with them while I patrolled
Yes,
the back
Nanny.
windows, making sure nobody was out there.
Come in.
It was so dark though, I couldn't see anything.
I got you.
So I did something that seems stupid today. I turned on his backyard lights, and immediately in the distance, over by the woods, I saw him, standing in front of a big tree. He turned off back into the woods and disappeared out of sight. That was the last time me or Anthony ever saw him. I would be lying if I told you we heard the occasional knocks at our windows or something cliche. No, that was it. 5 years have passed and nothing has happened. Do I wonder if it was somehow linked to the prank call? Maybe. Does it make sense?
Hello.
Not really.
Hello.
But
What do you
yeah,
want?
this was the story of how me and my still best friend Anthony almost died during a break-in.
That was interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna.
Hey guys, sorry I forgot to film an outro, so this is gonna be my outro. yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below what you'd like to see me do next. I'm planning on doing spooky videos for the rest of October. If you like that idea, then do leave a thumbs up. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. See you next time. Bye.
Cut us off, bitch, get in. And if your nigga don't like me, hit any chin chin.